Oh, happy days. DC has decided to return to comic not stands, and the world is better for it. This is a huge start for both the big two to August, which promises to be a huge month for comics, and I'm looking forward to everything that we've got coming out in August, but particularly this week. They started off with a bang. It's just the gruesome twosome today. We've got Tyler.
Yeah, I think Marco and Cale are still reading their books. There's so many. They're just a little busy.
Yeah, they'll be here February. And I'm Sean. Thank you for joining us. Whether you're here live or in the future, make sure that you Hulk smash that like button if you enjoy what we do. If you're a regular around here, you guys know the routine. We have six. Oh,
Oh, count them. Count them.
there you
Yeah,
go.
it's not my usual bit.
Six of this week's biggest book releases. We have the Uncanny X-Men #1. We've got the listener pick poll winner, Avengers #17, Storm joining the X-Men. Absolute Power #2. Batman #151. That's an Absolute Power tie-in. Birds of Prey #12. And last but not least, I don't actually have a copy of this book on physical. The Power Fantasy #1.
What happened there?
I have no idea. I don't know if Midtown didn't get it, or maybe my eyes failed me somehow, but or maybe it sold out. It could have sold out, but I wasn't able to get it. I didn't see it.
Interesting. Okay.
So, yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have a physical copy of that, but we've got everything else. So, let's kick things off with Uncanny X-Men. That's what's on the marquee. This is written by Gail Simone with art by David Marquez, letters by Clayton Cowles, and colors by Matt Wilson. Probably my most anticipated of the From the Ashes books so far,
Why?
because I love Gail Simone and David Marquez.
That's fair. That's fair. I wasn't sure if it was one or the other, but I guess the combo is just as good.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this book features I guess, a sort of quirky-ish team. Rogue, Gambit, Wolverine, and Nightcrawler. It's not fully developed yet. I'm sure more characters are going to join the fray, but that's who we have right now. In fact, I think, isn't Jubilee on the cover?
Jubilee is on the cover,
Yeah,
and Marquez draws a really good Jubilee. So I was kind of like expecting it. It's like when they forget your fries, you know?
dude,
It's worse. That's the worst, dude.
I can't have that.
Yeah.
I'll raise hell for that. And so it takes place in, well, it's gonna take place in New Orleans. These characters are eventually gonna make their way out to the bayou. And this issue basically is a lot of table setting. I mean, Rogue and Gambit meet up with Wolverine. They face off with this crazy dragon that has an Eye of Agamotto for some reason.
Yeah, that was in like Savage Avengers, I think it was introduced. That's what the editorial note said. So I think it
Yeah,
was like when Conan was on the team, when Marvel had the rights to Conan.
right. Yeah, they maximize those. And so there's that. The X-Men make a really sweet visit to a kid who's, dying. They do like a make-a-wish.
Yeah, yeah, they do a John Cena.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which doesn't go well. And then they go and throw some back. That's about it.
this was a strange one for me. I don't know about you. Um, I think if I'm just gonna encompass my feelings on this, I liked it, but it was not what I expected. It feels very atypical to what an X Men book is in some ways to me, because it's so loose on what its mission objective is right now.
Mhm.
You go back to Jed McKay's X Men. What they're doing there is very straightforward. Like Jed McKay writes that out for you. This, it's a little up in the air because it's still up in the air for the characters. So it is a very loose team. That even the idea of a team is being questioned by the characters. So for this to be Uncanny X Men, I was a little thrown off by that. I didn't hate it, but it kind of threw me off because I was expecting more of a mission statement for this first issue, where I guess the mission statement really is we're not sure yet, and that's part of the story.
Right. Hello, Steve Matthews. What's up, Columbo? CW Gordon, Catherine Stars. Hey, Amin Perez. How you doing? Bar Lord. What's up, Bar Lord? Rami Darwish. How you doing? Cole, Sean Ali. How's it going, Sean? Good to see you. Those are just the people I can see right now. Thank you guys for hanging out. I came into this, like I said, this was my most anticipated from the Ashes book. Very rarely has Gail Simone let me down. And David Marquez can't miss. I mean, the man's pen is just, it is what it is. And I'm a sucker for his interiors, and I haven't seen enough of them over the years. So I had really high hopes. And largely, I would say the book doesn't disappoint. But it's weird because I don't actually care about what the characters are doing largely, but I like the way that Gail Simone writes them. And I think that is the strongest part of the series so far for me on her side of things. I don't really need to see the X-Men fighting a big dragon. I could do without that. I mean, it was kind of cool, but like that means nothing to me. Um, but the way she writes these characters, it just feels like she really gets them and she gets how they should be interacting. I really like her voice for Rogue. All that stuff felt really strong.
It's funny, the four X-Men that are in this book, Nightcrawler, Rogue, Gambit, and Wolverine, all have distinct voices in the sense that, like, phonetically it's a little different. You know, you have Rogue doing the sugas, and, you know, Gambit pretty much is about to say, well, I'm about to make my name for myself out here, sort of thing. And Nightcrawler, we only get a little bit of him, but, you know, he's going to be doing that thing that you hated in Redcoat. But I kind of enjoy it. It almost adds like a cartoony feel to it. Even Wolverine is kind of talking in like non-traditional Wolverine way. Do you know what I mean? Like there was a couple bits here where it wasn't Southern, but it was like maybe Canadian. I don't know. What's the opposite of that? But like there was a almost accent to the way Wolverine was talking in this. That at some points I was like, oh, who said that? Was that Gambit? No, it wasn't. Specifically when they're at the pyramid. But I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it.
It reads pretty typical to me. When I read Wolverine dialogue, I hear it in the voice of the guy who voiced him in the animated series, and I hear it perfectly. I hear it perfectly.
Is it Cal Dodd? Is that?
I have no idea.
Cal, okay.
Yeah, this is it. But again, like I'm not sure that I care about the mission. Like there is no mission statement. There's no that I typically look at a first issue as a contract between the creative team and the reader to say, hey, this is what we're going to give you. This is the kind of story you can expect. This is the story going forward. You know, these are the character dynamics, all that stuff. And I don't really feel like I'm clear on all that. We didn't even get everybody who's on the cover here. So there's so much that seems to be up in the air. And normally that would really not be something that I could handle. But because of the pieces being so good, and there's just certain creators you trust. And I trust Gail Simone's writing, and I trust David Marquez's art.
I think I can kind of see where the story is or the mission objective is in relation to X-Men. Cyclops' team ends with a giant sentinel that they put over the city, where it's almost Magneto-esque in its, relationship with humanity. Because that's a threat. That's exactly what that is. And it's almost like, oh, he wants, after Orcus and after the fall of Krakoa, his objective is to save the world for mutants. And if humans need to be scared of him, so be it.
Right.
Where this Rogue is kind of dealing with the after effects of Krakoa in the opposite way. Where she's just going to this he was a mutant, right? The kid in the with leukemia. Was it stated he was?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, but she's going there. She's talking to presumably a human nurse, and the sentiment seems much more cordial in a way that's like, all right, I'm trying to work with humanity here because we all live on this earth now. We need to I'm tired of fighting that fight. So
Hmm.
it almost seems like she's now taking the Professor X dynamic part of that. There's always two sides to the same coin with X-Men, and now Rogue seems to be the opposite to Cyclops in a way. I really like that Rogue is the leader of this team too. If it's a team, well, we'll see.
I can't even say that because I don't even know what the team is. There is no team. And to speak on what you just were talking about between Rogue and Cyclops emulating like the Professor Xavier Magneto dynamic, I I just feel that feels so forced. That feels so forced and fake to me. This okay. I want to address right now the idea of not handling the Krakoan era being over because I think that there's an element of that is Marvel's fault. Because I think that if they wanted to establish Rogue and Cyclops in those places, they should have done that in the closeout of Krakoa. So that even if we're saying goodbye to that era, we can still, for those of us who were reading it, can say, okay, I see how we're getting here with Rogue. I see why Cyclops is like this. We don't even at this moment know why the mutants are not together. Just because they're not on Krakoa doesn't mean they couldn't go somewhere together. We like there it feels like we're missing moments.
I mean, we kind of are, right? Didn't X-Men posit there was a bit of a time jump because we don't see what happened in Alaska with the Sentinels and all that, so we didn't fully see the end of Orcus in a way.
I just assumed that, that was a generic, place where they a Sentinel factory and they got beat and the mutants took it over. I don't know if that's a beat that we need to see, but I feel like there are critical beats as far as why characters are how they are or what their behavior is right now that we just haven't been presented with.
We needed a peaceful transition of editorial power, where it was a clear cut. That's all it was, and they tried to fit the pieces, and it's not working that well.
X-Men 35 was where we said goodbye slash 700 was where we said goodbye to Krakoa. I really think it would have made a lot of sense to dedicate some portion of that issue to establishing what was coming, at least with the character dynamics. Um, I enjoyed this. I liked this quite a bit. Ultimately, I thought it had a lot of heart. The scene with the kid, the cancer kid or whatever. Um, and again, it's just like so Gail Simone. It's something Gail does well. It's something Kelly Thompson does well. Just being able to like see the truth of a moment and play on it no matter what it is. That kid says to Rogue, "Oh my God, you're so hot." And it's like,
Can't hate it.
yeah, he would fucking say that. Like someone could look at that moment and go, "Oh, that's so creepy," or why would you put that into a
It's a
comic? And it's
teenage
like,
kid.
no, because that's the truth
Yeah,
of the scene. That's the reality of the scene.
that is something Gail Simone is so good at. She did it with Secret Six. She made D-list DC villains relatable and have social lives and have interplay within each other. She did the same with her Domino book, which was an ensemble book,
Yeah,
even though it
yeah.
was that Domino was so good.
Yes.
So fun. So that's why when I heard her announce for this, yes, it's Gail Simone. It's not really new blood, but I was excited because I know she works really well on a team. And the rogue bits of this book are so well done. The fact that she's kind of dealing with PTSD, and
Yeah.
even like the return of some of the PTSD she had from being able to touch people. Like she touches the kid's hand to like console him, and then he has a seizure. So that's gonna trigger her immediately.
Right.
And playing on that dynamic, I'm really excited to see how she handles the other characters in similar ways.
Do you remember why it is that she can touch people now? Because I sure the fuck don't.
I don't know, so she can fuck. I don't know. Like, I'm gonna guess it's probably an X-Men Legacy Magneto situation in there. I have no idea. I'm taking a shot in the dark. But yeah,
Chat, chat. I know there's someone
yeah, we are
out
X-Men
there that
heads.
knows the reason because I genuinely do not know the reason, and I feel like I should, but I don't. Because I'm pretty sure I remember that in the beginning of Krakoa, one of the problems was that her and Gambit couldn't have kids
Oh
because they
yeah,
can't
yeah.
have sex. So what happened? Help me out.
Rogue was. I feel like after. what was the Excalibur book?
Excalibur. Yeah.
Rogue was kind of absent. I think she was in like Uncanny Avengers. Was she prominent in Duggan stuff? Because I was real behind on Duggan stuff.
Rogue. Ah, man, I don't know, bro. Krakoa was weird. There are characters that just dropped off the face of the earth, and like I don't know. That's why
Yeah,
it's so sort of weird to me that she's in this role now because she didn't really play this role during Krakoa. She doesn't like Storm's position. We're going to talk about Storm a little more in a moment when we get to Avengers, but Storm's positions make sense. It feels commiserate with what she was doing during Krakoa. But I can't really say the same for a lot of other people. Like, I don't feel like at the end of X Force or at the end of the Wolverine comic, Wolverine was ready to be on some, you know what, I'm done with all of this. That's not where he was at. So I don't really understand why he's making this choice. Be that as it may, do what you will. I wish this is one time where there needed to be a little hand holding on how Rogue can do this.
sure, sure. Can we talk about Marquez real quick? Because I
Please.
know we both love Marquez. Saving Grace of Civil War too. The stuff he did with like Batman, Superman, and DC, real good stuff. This was a little different. I think he's
Yeah.
really leaning into kind of an almost like anime manga influenced cartoony style and some of the emoting that he does.
Yeah.
There's some bits in this that look like right out of like a Saturday morning cartoon show, with like Rogue being shocked, or when the characters have to be tiny in the background, they become cartoony, and I really like that with this stuff.
Yo, all right. Listen, neither one of us love Gambit, right? I know chat, there are some Gambit lovers in the chat. It's all right. I have never praised a Gambit moment in a comic book before. But man, doesn't he look cool as shit right here? Look at this dude right here. Look at that panel. Look at the coloring,
It's good.
the Matthew Wilson colors. Look at the face and then go over here. How cool does he look?
It's a total use of secondary colors throughout: oranges, the greens for the Eye of Agamotto, and then the
Yeah.
pinks and purples, which is counter to how we're programmed to think of superhero comics. And I love Matthew Wilson's colors because he does a lot of that.
He's so good,
Yeah.
dude. He really is one of the goats. And then look at this great panel here where Rogue is like sitting on top of Gambit.
I will say, I'm not a big Gambit fan, but when Rogue and Gambit are together, I love it. Like, I
Yeah,
take Gambit by himself, I don't care. Put him with
right.
Rogue, I'm in. You sold me.
I think I agree with that. And I really like the dynamic of this threesome here between Wolverine, Gambit, and Rogue. It just feels like they're three outcasts. It feels like they're three people who are cut from the very similar cloth, and they feel kind of like comfortable together. I really, really enjoyed their dynamic. Gail Simone is a home run writer. She really is.
And the thing is, they're not Charles's kids. Like, in the sense that they're not the original X-Men. They never were. They were always adopted into that family. It is a
Yeah,
found family for them. And throughout history, they've always left, come back, left, come back. So it is kind of cool seeing them all come together. Because, in a way, Jubilee's the same way, and Nightcrawler is as well. So we'll see how those two additions add into this dynamic.
sure. Yeah, this was the best issue one of the whole bunch to me so far. Um, I hesitate to say pick of the week, but I really, really, really enjoyed this a lot. The only thing it was missing for me was a couple of more characters, although I do think it was smart to make this more focused. But the only thing it was missing was a couple more characters and just a better idea of what this book is. But yeah, overall, very good stuff.
I think just a clearer mission objective would have made this my pick of the week, I think. There is another book we'll talk about that just was my pick of the week, so we'll get to it. But on another week, this might have been.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Hats off to the creative team. Great job. This is what they should have started with. I don't know who told them to start with X-Men number one. I don't that book doesn't even have flagship energy. It's not the flagship book in my mind. Uncanny is the flagship book, and this book definitely is superior of the two.
This book even deals with stuff that doesn't happen in X-Men. Like, X-Men happens after the fact almost. I feel like X-Men was chosen as the first because it most clearly dealt with the fallout of Orcus. so maybe editorially it made sense to put it first to bridge everything. But yeah, Uncanny is it's Uncanny X-Men. That's the book.
Yeah. Yeah. Chat, how'd you feel about this one? Let's see what you guys are saying out there. Love to see a full chat box every time I come to the chat menu. 40 plus of you watching us live right now. Thank you for choosing us for your comic book reviews this week. Appreciate it. Comic Boom says, thanks to Gail Simone, I am reading my first X title in many years. Wow. So what brought you to the dance? Was it Gail specifically? Because that's cool.
Uh,
Go ahead.
Tektronic said, "Justice for Sync. Where my boy at? I'm with you."
Agreed. Sink done dirty. I think, just a casualty of Tom Brevoort wanting to bring things back to one and get the focus on the characters that people recognize popularly among the X-Men. Um, Beast Lab Rat says this book is all heart from that lady that hates mutants and what she thinks of them and that school and Logan and that dying man and the dying kid. All heart. Gail Simone can tug at some heartstrings. She is very good at crafting dialogue and moments that make you feel things. I would say she's one of the better at that of the elite writers.
Resident Remy LeBeau stan Catherine said, "Hearing compliments for Gambit. Perfect."
Yeah.
Well, don't
Figured
get
I'd
used
throw
to it.
you a bone.
Don't get used to it.
Yeah, don't get used to it. Chat doesn't seem to have an answer as to why Rogue is able to touch people here. Beast Lab Rat says, do they need to tell us? I remember the long debates of comic fans arguing about something because they didn't know for sure, but they thought what happened. Well, a good way to clear that argument up would be to tell us. So I would say, yes, they do need to tell us how she could do that. Rogue is most commonly associated with about three things: her crazy strength, her physical appearance, and her ability to take people's powers, and the fact that she can't touch people. So if any one of those things changes, the reason has to be front and center when we see Rogue for an issue one of something. Yes, I do believe that. And if no one here who was reading Krakoa can say why, to me that's not a great thing.
Or maybe she just killed that kid.
Right. Or maybe.
Maybe that's
Or
the end.
maybe.
That's the mission objective there.
Yeah.
Euthanasia.
Neighborhood Merc says, I enjoyed X-Men #1 a lot, but Uncanny is on another level. Only one issue for each, so I'm not going to jump the gun and judge harshly yet. That's fair. That's super fair. Any of these books can turn me around on them, but right now, Uncanny X-Men and X-Force are the ones that I feel really positively about. So, as we said, we have a big Saturday planned. And I want to say this immediately because it's so important for you guys to know that this Saturday, we are going to be going live at a special start time of 1:30 p.m. If you arrive to the youtube.com/the comics pals destination at 10:15 a.m. Eastern, we will not be there. 1:30 p.m. Eastern, because we will be interviewing none other than the Uncanny Omar of Near Mint Condition, that fantastic YouTube channel that I'm sure many of you are familiar with. Omar's going to come on here. He's going to grace us with his presence to talk about his massive collection of Omnibuy, his journey, and how he got started with comics. And we're going to talk about the state of comics collecting and the state of comics in general. So you guys are not going to want to miss this. A crossover for the ages. Should be a good time. Tyler, you have any familiarity at all with Near Mint?
All I know is that he helps me know which Omnibuy I don't want to wreck my credit card with. So his stuff is good, especially the stuff on like I didn't know you were supposed to read omnibuses a certain way. There's like certain ways to do it so you don't screw up the spine. I was raw dogging my shit. So thank you, Omar, for teaching me how to do things correctly. But yeah, I subscribe to him. I've been watching his stuff for a couple years now.
Awesome. Steve Matthews says, oh God, what time is that in Europe? I'm confused. I am sorry. I wish our resident European transplant was here so that Cale could help you out, but he isn't. I don't know. I don't know.
That'll be. It looks like if it's in the UK area, so whatever the time zone the UK is, it'll be 6:30 p.m.
Hmm.
is what it turns out to be. About a 5 hour difference.
Oh, okay. All right. There you go. See, I just say I don't know. Tyler actually does the work to figure out the answer.
Hey, you got stuff to do.
What I have to do right now is let you guys know about patreon.com/the comics pals, where we are always giving you some bang for your buck. You know, this comic right here is $5.99. Holy shit, why is this $5.99?
Was it oversized?
Well, it definitely was oversized. I
Yeah.
could feel that while reading. I didn't realize it was $5.99 though. Wow. Huh.
Part of the cost of it went to the Make a Wish Foundation.
Jeez.
No.
I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, seriously, yeah.
I'd
But
gladly
no,
pay an extra
no.
dollar for that. But yeah, $5.99 for this comic. For less than that, you can join our most of our stuff and get hooked up pretty nicely from us. If you want to join the Palsverse, patreon.com/the comics pals is the way to do that. We've got more comics to get into, so let's not even belabor it. You guys voted in the poll last week, a massive poll with a lot of tremendous options. And the one you went with pretty far and away was Avengers number 17. That's the book you guys chose for us to read this week. Now, before we give you our review, I really, really quickly want to say that if you want to vote in the poll, you can do that at youtube.com/the comics pals under the community tab. This week, we've got Action Comics 1068 up on there. That's a 10% of the vote. Green Lantern number 14. That's my pick this week. 24% of the vote. Transformers number 11, 22% of the vote. I don't think that book has ever lost when it's been on the poll, but it is losing right now to Ultraman X Avengers number 1, which has 44% of the vote. If you can believe that.
What are the Avengers going to do against Ultraman villains? Aren't they giant kaiju? It's going to be like Miles Morales kicking a kaiju in the shin?
Well, dude, if the Avengers can handle Fing Fang Foam,
Great character.
hell yeah. I'm so disappointed he hasn't appeared in an Iron Man movie yet.
Right? Dumb.
That should have happened.
Dumb.
I bought it that he was gonna be the villain of Iron Man 3. Him and what's his name?
You just on the Warren Ellis forums looking up rumors and stuff.
Dude, Warren Ellis forums. That's like 20.
Okay, that's too far back. That's too far
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We got
Jesus
social media at this
Christ.
point, yeah.
Iron Man 3 was like 10 years ago. Uh get your vote on. Make sure you guys cast your vote. Let's get into Avengers number 17. This was written by you know what? Sorry. Before we get into it, Steve Matthews asked, "Did anyone check the QR code pages?" Yes.
That's what the extra dollar was for. The page you had to read online.
Don't even start. It's there's nothing to it. It's like it just adds more to the situation between Rogue and Cyclops.
Yeah, that also kind of like brought home that thematic element and was like, all right, I guess Rogue's the leader here. But yeah, it's nothing more than a marketing press page. It's a trailer, really. Not even a trailer. It's a what do they call it? Teaser trailer. Even smaller than that.
Yeah. It's not the last page. It's the bonus page, so it's not the end of the world or anything, but I go to Bleeding Cool to see the page. I don't like to use QR. I don't like to scan codes because I always feel like there's something that's going to happen to me. So I won't do it. But I
You
I
really like
will
the
look it
Matrix.
up online. I'm paranoid about the internet, man. Anyway, sorry, we're supposed to be reviewing Avengers. This is by Jed McKay with art by Valerio Schiti, letters by Clayton Cowles, and colors by letters by Corey Pettit and colors by Joe Sabino.
Muscle memory.
So, yeah. So this is the debut of Storm in Avengers. Not really the debut of her joining the Avengers because that doesn't happen. But this issue largely just deals with the fallout of Blood Hunt, with the Avengers kind of, going over whether they really succeeded or not. The day was won ultimately because the blood hunt was stopped, but did they really win? That's sort of the question. Meanwhile, Sam talks to Storm, and Sam, being Captain America, and sort of says, "Hey, we need your kind of presence here. Plus, I feel bad about us, not helping out with Orcus and everything else. So, would you please, pretty please, join the Avengers?" And Hyperion wants to end everything. Tyler, what did you make of Avengers 17?
I have thoughts about this one.
Yeah.
I think first thing I want to say is Hyperion. I'm in. I'm in. I'm a sucker for the Squadron Supreme, and this is the Hyperion that's from Jason Aaron's run. So this is a Hyperion that was created by Mephisto. So he
Oh,
doesn't really exist. He's not real. And like that was one of the plot threads they kind of just dropped in Aaron's run. Like I never got to finish that. So I like how that's being pulled back into here. So that's cool. What bugged me about this issue was the whole Captain Marvel is contemplating whether or not they actually won with the end of Blood Hunt, which I agree with her. I don't think they did. Doom did. Avengers didn't do shit really. They fought a couple of guys, but they got beat. They were probably going to get beat a second time. They weren't really doing anything. They were kind of useless. Like Blade's daughter had to come into play to save Blade. Like nobody really did much. And I agree with her. I think Sam agreeing with her makes sense. T'Challa not seeing that threw me off. T'Challa is one of the characters I feel like who would agree with her that they didn't do enough. And him just being like, we're fine, we're good, felt out of character. But then I look at that lineup and I don't know who can say that. Like I look at this whole lineup, it's really an A-list of Avengers. I don't know anyone there who would have that differing opinion. So I'm also like, I understand that, like storyline wise, you need to have somebody playing that role, but none of the characters really fit the role because any of these guys could lead the Avengers. And like maybe Tony Stark, but he has to play the role of Carol's like a mentor a bit later on in the issue.
Yeah.
So he couldn't really do that role either. So that felt like just like a casualty of having this super team of Avengers. And I did like how they brought up the whole Orcus thing with mutants as well. I'm glad that was recognized. I've been reading this run since the beginning. I've generally enjoyed it. It's been like a constant 6.57 for me. Like not like good, but not great. And it never really hits great. But I thought this was pretty good. The Sheedy art does not hurt at all. And I don't think the Sheedy isn't as good. He's not doing as good here as he did in Gods, I feel.
Yeah.
Gods was next level.
Yeah.
This felt like, all right, we need to kind of get you on Avengers. He's probably going to be there for an arc, and then they're going to put him off something else big.
He was he not colored by Marta Gracia?
Oh, you're right.
during
Yeah, the
Gods?
coloring probably changed a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. This is who's this? Valenza? Yeah, this is Valenza.
Yeah. So that could account for some of it. But I generally enjoyed it. I'd be curious to see what you think because what's the last Avengers issue you read? One?
No. We did the
oh,
first arc for the show.
Yeah, we complained
Did the-
about it most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that this was definitely the best issue of Avengers that I read from McKay. So from the first arc and then this one, this is the best one that I read because the characters are talking about things that matter, and I really appreciated that fact. Even though, you know, Captain Marvel just sort of yelling at everybody that they failed, but not really doing anything about it when the blood hunt was actually happening is kind of frustrating. This issue shows me that, Jed McKay understands that there has to be some kind of substance, right? There has to be something under the hood. It can't just be fighting all the time. And these kinds of, well, what are we really doing? Are we accomplishing anything? This is a conversation I wish we could have seen a page or two of in Blood Hunt. Just something to show that these characters are thinking. In the Blood Hunt review, I said that there had to have been more deaths in Blood Hunt than all prior Marvel events combined. Because these people were dropping like fucking flies. and people were being turned into vampires and then killed. So there have to have been they're saying thousands in this comic. There have to have been hundreds of thousands of deaths. But I'll put that aside. Fine. Okay. There were thousands of deaths. It was just one 9/11. Sure. We'll go with that. I feel like I want to see the Avengers have a major like seismic reaction to this. Like I want to see this continue. There has to be more.
And like during Blood Hunt, the Avengers book did its own little side quests with a whole different team, which was really fun, by the way. But none of it dealt with the actual heaviness of what was going on that you described. So it's like, all right, Jed McKay was too busy having to play with all the different toys in that world in Blood Hunt that he didn't actually get to handle the emotional meat of it. That we get a little bit of a fall off here, but it feels like too little, too late.
Yeah. I thought this was good. I haven't really liked any of Jed McKay's scripts in a long time. I thought this was a strong one. The character dynamics that you described earlier, especially the T'Challa one, I definitely agree with you. I feel like as a king and a king who weighs every decision meticulously, I don't think he would be this cavalier about a loss of life, especially one that was global. What are his thoughts about what happened? Like, did anything happen in Wakanda during Blood Hunt? Like, like he wasn't there, so
What is happening in Wakanda? Like, what? Is there a Black Panther book out right now?
no, no, it
No,
was
just
canceled.
Ultimate, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so what is the Wakandan situation? He shouldn't have even been in this comic book. Black Panther's sitting around. What the fuck is he doing? He's talking to us.
Oh,
He's
I know what
talking
he's
to a
doing.
ship.
He's trying to
He's
fuck
talking
that spaceship.
yeah, what is that?
Dude, he was up against it, talking sweet nothings into its robo ear. I was like, yo, he's looking for an exhaust pipe somewhere.
I hope they don't. Yeah, that's bugged
It's
out.
like it's like Lando in the solo a Star Wars story.
I don't watch it.
Oh,
Uh I also really liked Hyperion. I forgot that he was coming in this arc, so I didn't
me too.
realize who
Yeah.
this person was. But that whole arc playing in the background of him, delivering the letter or whatever, and he or the video and him explaining his mission, like, I don't know if I'm real, but I don't know if you're real. And so I'm gonna end everything. And because I don't know what's real, none of this matters. That's so crazy and delusional that I loved it. I was like, that's great.
And also, what he plans on doing is just flying into the Earth and destroying it. It was like, oh man, I guess Superman could do that too. Whenever, like, just bullet through Earth's core. Boom,
Yeah.
you're done. It's so like, how do you stop? Like, and when I finish the end of this, I'm like, how are they gonna stop that? Like, I'm genuinely curious because I'm like, Hyperion that's Superman. You know, Marvel doesn't use him often for a reason.
A bullet that's gonna smash
Yeah.
through the earth. I'm dying to see what's gonna happen
What the fuck
next.
is Sam Wilson, Captain America, gonna do with that? The Shield?
Yeah, what's he gonna do against vampires?
I guess so.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna buy issue 18 because I have to know if Jed McKay can handle figuring out how the Avengers stop this.
Don't you love comics that have cliffhangers that we'll know the direct fallout of?
It's a beautiful thing. It's an absolutely lovely thing. This gets a pull from me, and I don't think I pulled a single issue of Avengers before, but this was enjoyable. So I'm gonna continue to read this, whether it gets reviewed on the show or not. It's probably gonna be up to you all. But this is back in my rotation.
Yeah, I've been reading Avengers the whole time, so this is a pull for me. Sean, if you really wanted, the previous 3 issues or whatever were pretty fun. It's just Steve Rogers and a whole bunch of ragtag Avengers fighting vampires and Baron Blood. So
I was told by our Discord that Avengers has not been it. So I'm gonna trust them. I have to.
they're the one who voted for this, though. So
Well, I voted for it. I want to
sure,
see Storm.
sure, yeah.
I want to see what's going on. Sarcastic Enchilada says, "How is Blood Hunt still going?" Well, it did end last week. Blood Hunt is officially over.
But Blood Hunters launched this week, so yeah, a little runoff.
That is true. There's always a little runoff. I think that's fair. You gotta capitalize where you can. Amin Perez says, I'm not sure I like that disaster unit, Sean. What do you mean? What did I say to make you say that? Beast Lab Rat says, with Jed McKay writing most of Marvel and now bringing in Doom in a role that's huge with the timing with the MCU, I can absolutely see another Secret Wars coming. Ooh,
What do they
that's
call
a
it?
good point.
Huh.
10 years in 2025 since Hickman's Secret Wars started. Would there be a Secret Wars 4?
I mean, they're definitely going to do something Secret Wars branded. Whether or not it's main continuity or, a big thing like that is the question. Uh, I'm going to be real with you. I'm tired of this multiverse shit. Don't do it.
I think there was a meaningful reason to do the Secret War when they did it 10 years ago. Like it was a natural conclusion of what Hickman was already doing.
And in
If they did
conclusion,
it now, even if they started right now, whatever they did would feel tie-in-y rather than organic.
and also editorially a reason for it previously with the end of the Ultimate Universe.
Right.
Although we do have a new Ultimate Universe now, so who knows if we'll have a new incursion.
Yeah. CW Gordon, yeah, dude. He says 10 years is insane. That is actually insane. I can't even wrap my head. Like as I was thinking to say that, I was like, dude, I was writing reviews for that for the website we used to work for. Like that's how long ago that was.
You got to do the Secret Wars reviews?
Yeah.
Man, I was doing Ant-Man digital tie-in comics.
That's you
Not,
were you
not
were
good.
a different breed. That's
Not good.
rough.
Although I did get Saga, so
That's fair. Wow, I'm surprised you got Saga
I begged for
over
it.
Marco.
I
Oh,
begged
okay.
for it.
Dan Trudeau, what's up, Dan? Says movie tie-ins aren't meaningful. No, not as quality comics.
I'm even thinking about like the what was it Bagley and Bendis on Avengers Assemble, right when
Yep.
the movie came out, and even that was like it's just an Avengers book. Don't worry if it's in continuity. Don't worry about it.
And I feel like back then it was definitely transparent, but I thought they tried a little harder. Now it's just like, I don't know.
I'm trying to think like now it the tie-ins seem to happen 3 years before the actual MCU gets to it.
To be fair, that's due to the different timelines
Yeah,
of of the movies versus comics. Comics can be produced so much quicker. But like, look at the team of the book we just read, right? So this is the main Avengers book. There's only one, right? Look at the team of the book we just read and look at the last iteration of the Avengers on screen. It's 1-to-1. Like there is not even one character in this team that's not in the movies. That's crazy.
it's like the Justice League of Avengers. When I feel like the Avengers has never really been like that, and I'm not a big fan of this A-list Avengers team, to be honest.
But dude, like this isn't even like if you went back if you went back let's say 10 years ago,
Sure.
would this have been considered an A-list team of Avengers?
Uh,
Sort of.
sort of. Sam wasn't Cap yet. Wanda was still crazy. Black Panther, I don't even think was that 10 years ago.
Sam had been capped.
Has it
Sam had
has it
been
been,
capped.
has it been capped that long? Jeez, I don't understand time. Don't ask me 10 years. I don't know what's going on back then.
Well, either way, it's just an it's if like you said, Avengers Assemble versus Mighty Avengers from that same time period, or Avengers from that same time period. Avengers Assemble was clearly the movie tie-in comic, but the other Avengers books got to have characters that weren't in the MCU. Now, the only Avengers book we have is only characters from the MCU, and that feels by design.
I see what you mean. Yep.
Yeah. Beast Lab Rat says Ryan North said during Comic Con that the end of Blood Hunt is the direction the Fantastic Four is going. So I'm guessing we will see Reed and Victor meeting soon. Yeah, probably. Amin says, remember when Peter got the black suit again after Civil War because Spider-Man 3 was about to come out? LMAO. Fair game. Fair game. You are absolutely right about that. But I would also argue that that fit in squarely with the story that was being told by JMS at the time, because that was after Aunt May got shot. So he went back to black because it represented his emotional state. Now, I know that's a whole bunch of bullshit, right? Like that's literally the reason, but it ultimately they did it because he was going to wear the black suit in the movie.
I forget. He just put on a black suit, right? It wasn't symbiote.
He literally had a black suit in his house that he whipped out because he was depressed.
Let me keep this costume of a time that was probably one of the darkest moments of my life, just in case I get pissed off.
Yeah.
A super dramatic Peter. Jesus Christ.
It was so dramatic, dude. And I feel like I was against it. I feel like I remember being against it. But then when I saw him in the costume and I saw how he fought Kingpin, I was like, oh, this is it.
So there was Casada covers too, right?
Yeah, Back in Black was cool.
Yep.
Back in Black was cool. Chillmonger says, you make it sound like Sam being called Cap makes him more. What do you mean more? Like makes him more of a good character, more of what? Dan says it is possible to take an editorial mandate and make it work on an emotional level. Of course. It just happens to be the case that the editorial mandates that we are aware of, because obviously there are plenty that we're not aware of, often seem to not be handled terribly gracefully. And I don't really even blame the creators for that, because I don't think that it's always possible to do something gracefully. You know, JMS had the gift of that fall into his lap. I think it was a gift because it got excitement around the book, because Spider-Man putting on the black costume is an exciting thing, and it tethered in well to what he was already doing, but I don't think that was his plan. All right. More A-list. Well, yeah, of course it makes him more A-list. What are you talking about? Being called Captain America is objectively more A-list than being called Falcon. There's no conversation to that. Being called Captain America is more A-list than being called Winter Soldier. It doesn't matter. It's just a fact. All right, let's talk about Absolute Power #2. I don't know about you, Tyler, but I sorely missed DC last week.
Yeah, yeah. We got to talk a lot about DC. We didn't get to read a lot about DC.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm grateful that we get to return to DC with some Absolute Power. This was written, of course, by Mark Waid with art by Dan Mora, the creative team behind everybody's favorite, World's Finest, with colors by Alejandro Sanchez, letters by Ariana Mayer. On leagueofcomicbookgeeks.com, they have a list of every character who was in the book, and the list is mighty long. It is super duper long. There are a lot of characters in this comic.
Airwave shows up. You remember Airwave?
Random. Yeah, I've never seen that character before.
I had to look him up.
No, I have no idea who that was. And this book largely takes place in the Fortress of Solitude, which is kind of where the Justice League is hiding out and licking their wounds, while Amanda Waller and her little evil triad, they're plotting and planning and not comfortable with letting up, which I really appreciated. They're like, okay, we need to, keep our foot on the gas here. And that is what this book is. It's gas. Like, there's really very little breaks. I said it takes place largely in the Fortress of Solitude, and that is true. But aside from the Justice League kind of chit-chatting a little bit, and a really silly argument, I thought, between League members about who should speak on behalf of the heroes that Nightwing then takes over. Outside of that, this book is pretty much just fighting.
It's the summer blockbuster of comics.
Yeah.
It is cameo galore. There's that one page that's Amanda Waller has like the list of apprehended superheroes behind her, and it's very Days of Future Past, the first cover with like the wanted posters. I stayed on that page for a while, just looking at everyone. I'm like, oh, Dr. Occult's on here, cool. But this is a lot of fun. I think The way Dan Moore's art looks in absolute power is insane.
Yeah.
I don't know, like this might be some of the best like event comic art I've ever seen.
Look at this. Look at Wonder Woman and look at Aquaman. I don't know if you can
Everyone
see.
has such distinct faces.
Yeah.
Like there's an issue with some art in comics where everyone has same face. It's like, oh, this same face, but put a beard on it. Oh, this is the same face, but hair's longer. No, Diana has prominent features. Aquaman has prominent features. Even Nightwing, who's pretty like default creative character, has, you can tell that's Nightwing. You know, like even outside the costume, like even like the way his hair is curled, and especially,
They look like who they are.
yeah, it's impressive, honestly. And it's just a feast for my eyes reading this event book. Just being able to look in the background and like if there's someone in the background, it's someone. It's not just anyone. Like that is a specific character that you can recognize. And if you're like a DC head, you'll find some characters in here that you maybe haven't seen in a while, and it's just that's great. How did you feel about how it addressed the absence of the Justice League in this? Because this directly addresses it, I think, for the first time since.
The absence of the Justice League is addressed in Green Arrow.
True. Yep.
And so that is a part of why he's even involved in all of this. I want to address your question in a moment. The first thing I wanted to say was you saying that about the art reminded me that we just praised George Perez for how he drew everybody and gave everybody a very distinct, specific look, no matter how deep in the background they were in Crisis on Infinite Earths. So this reminds me of that.
Even in that, like, I think of that the Crisis image where they're in that ship and it's that giant splash page where everyone's in it. Nothing really calls back directly to that, but it feels a lot like that. They're all in this one space and everyone's here.
Yep. And then also there's a comment from West Venango, who I've not seen here before, who says, I have a question. How do you create your own comic character? So unfortunately, Wes, this isn't the best place for me to answer that question, just because clearly, we do comic book reviews around here, but I did want to take the time to address it anyway, very, very briefly, and say that there are a lot of great resources out there to help you create characters and help you create your own comics and storytelling. I love that you want to do that. And I think that, very broadly speaking, the best way to create characters is to figure out what is important for you to say as a human being, what's cool to you, what excites you in life, and translate those ideas into characters that feel like real people who could walk off the page at any moment and figure out the framework to put them in, i.e., the story that allows them to flourish and for you to say what it is that you need to say through them. So hopefully that helps you. Thank you for asking the question. Thank you for being here. And in trade, I would love it if you subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much. All right. So to answer your question, Tyler, I thought it was clumsy. I thought it was a little clumsy.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think these characters would stand around arguing about who should have the authority to speak in this situation. Batman came across really juvenile, and so did Mr. Terrific. That was really bizarre. And Mr. Terrific says, you teams, as if Batman isn't on every iteration of the Justice League ever.
Yeah, he's the team guy. Sure, he knows how to kill them all if he needs to, but he's still the team guy.
Anyone here could speak to the situation at hand. And I thought that while Nightwing's taking it on himself was good, and I like that moment in a nutshell, it's too little too late. That should have happened a long time ago. This is the moment for Batman.
The bit I did like, though, because I agree with you, it did feel clumsy, and like this should have happened at Dark Crisis or directly after it, where Nightwing led a Justice League book. Just saying, the bit I did enjoy was Wonder Woman being like, I don't even know why we got rid of the Justice League. Like, there's a bit there where she even addresses like, that was dumb. What did that do? So maybe that's Mark Waid kind of winking at the reader, which I don't mind because I think we're all in a pretty standard agreement on that story beat.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I I, I really, really was sort of frustrated by that because I don't like it when writers make characters look lesser to make someone else look better. And I just thought everybody in this scene came across badly. Anyone in the room, not anyone in the room, but anyone who had a speaking role in this moment could have said what Nightwing said. I'm not mad that it was him. I'm mad that everybody argued about who it should be.
And also, don't tease me with Mister Terrific being a Justice League leader, like because that's never
Yeah,
happened. So
that would be fine. That would be fine, But anyway, so then, as the characters are having all this chit chat, um, John Kent, who is being controlled by, Waller and Brainiac Queen, invades them in a crazy sequence. What a phenomenal battle that was. Visually speaking, a feast.
because the heroes, like most of them, don't have powers, so they have to have guns. So like Plastic Man, he got that thing on him now, but Brainiac Queen literally like, all right, you don't have powers. I'm gonna break all your bones now because you can't deal with it. And she like there's an onomatopoeia for snap on Plastic Man's arm, which like a couple things there, real good lettering, real good choice of character too, because that has never happened to Plastic Man.
Hmm.
So it's wild to see that happen to him, and it really kind of set like, oh, people are gonna get hurt here, people might die. So it immediately set the stakes for this huge battle that takes up the latter 2/3 of the book.
See, I agree with you, but then it's like, but they're not going to die. And that's kind of the problem that I have is that either, like, because they get new suits in this issue, which I thought was goofy. I don't like, how are they going to fight without having something, and those new suits could be that. But like, oh, they just happen to have these for this perfect moment, which I think they could have just handled that a little bit better. But putting that aside, B, new suits or not, John Kent and Brainiac Queen are killing everybody that's there if they don't have powers. I'm sorry. If their goal is for these people to die, they're dead.
Which I think was smart. I think Brainiac Queen explicitly states, "You're not. I'm not trying to kill you. I'm trying to contain you."
Fair.
Like Amanda Waller wants containment. Is what she
Yeah.
wants. So
Yeah.
that's how they write that off. But why did the Flash get a motorcycle? Didn't he have power still?
I don't know, but the motorcycle was cool as shit.
McFarlane was looking at like, all right, give me 3 months.
Look at this motorcycle, bro.
If he doesn't do the Akira slide at some point in this the next issue, there's only one more, right? Or is it a four?
No, two more, two
Two
more.
more. Okay, I knew it was shorter than normal. If he doesn't do the Akira slide, missed opportunity.
John looks so cool, dude.
I'm worried
He's
about him, dude.
This is cyborg Superman vibes, and I'm with it.
Because I know you're saying there's no real stakes.
No, I'm not saying that.
Well, there's no stakes in like you don't like none of these guys are gonna die, is what you were saying, right?
Yeah.
I feel like John might be the character that might be because like from an editorial standpoint, he's a little expendable. Yeah, maybe you don't want to kill your young gay character that you hyped up for so many years, but I don't know. It seems like storyline wise, something bad could happen to him, or worse than what's already happening.
I could see that. I could also see a new status quo for him being a cyborg Superman for some time or something like that. They just keep dragging my man through the mud. He just gets beat on and shit on and
No
beat on.
childhood.
No childhood, abused by his grandfather, uh, you know, shackled by Brian Michael Bendis, just tortured by Ultraman. Like it's endless. This kid, my God. Woof. The ending of this comic was very dramatic. I loved it. Just the kind of work that masters do, where you have that time, the time ticking from 10, 9,
Yeah.
8, and every panel represents a second in time with all these different things going on. Um, Dreamer apparently sacrificing herself. Um, that was crazy. This was just balls to the wall.
I can't wait to read this as a full 4 issues.
Hmm.
because this is going to be like a perfect summer action adventure movie in comic form once it's all done.
Yeah, they're nailing it. They're nailing it. The only thing I would really change is the fact that I just thought that conversation in the beginning was a little clunky, the Justice League stuff. But everything else, this is like some of the best event art we've ever seen. Dan Mora is certainly putting himself in the conversation for best event art. Is he the best event artist? No, the event's not even over. But he's certainly got to be in the topic.
He's doing oh shit, Civil War. Help me, artist.
Oh, Steve McNiven.
Yeah, he's doing like McNiven level art. I think
Yeah.
for this. In fact,
Yeah.
it kind of feels a lot like it in a way too, the way he chooses the lighting a bit. But I don't want to compare two artists together. But it's like that good.
Yeah. High level, very high level stuff. This is my pick of the week.
Interesting. Okay, not mine, but real good. Good week overall, I will say.
Yeah. Yeah. Slam dunk week for comics, man. Even some of the stuff that I read outside the show, just really, really good stuff. You know what? I do have one more criticism now that I think about it, because we're going to talk about Batman in a moment, and this doesn't let the character, like, it feels like all the characters that we want to care about and root for and everything are going to have their arcs play out in their individual books rather than here. And I don't know how I feel about that. I
Was
don't
it
even know if that's necessarily a criticism.
was it Batman or like Mr. Terrific that was like, I need you to go here, I need you to go here, you go here, and I'm like, all right, there's a side quest that I'll see in the main books, or like Task Force 7 or
Wasn't it
whatever.
Nightwing or something who tells them what to go do?
I forget. There's so many characters in
Someone,
this.
someone, anyways. Yeah, tells them what to go and do. Yeah, it's Nightwing who
Yeah.
gives them all jobs. Um, which again, I didn't really love. You know, they keep trying to make this Nightwing thing happen of him being like the leader, and it's just not. I'm not buying it. I'm not sold.
You know what was cool though? When Zealot came in and did that like samurai slash. Doesn't say
Yo,
shit. She just shows up. And like I know
dude.
like seeing Zealot with Birds of Prey was like, all right, cool. But like seeing Zealot with all of the other DC characters, that kind of blew my mind. Cause like that's like Wildstorm in DC proper. Like that was a
Yeah.
little bonkers for me. But cool stuff.
Set the comments. Comic Boom says, I still struggle to accept Amanda Waller's character motivation. I think it has been badly handled, but I must accept it. That's interesting. So what about her motivation are you not buying? I think I'm pretty sold on where she's coming from. Just because I think it's been pretty consistent for the last few years that she has this perspective.
There's also a lot of tie-in stuff that kind of explains a little more directly her motivations. I think there was that absolute power. I forget the
Origins.
origins or something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
That was all about Amanda Waller.
I personally feel like that issue did shit to explain why she's involved in this, to be honest with you. Um, but just over the years, you know, like even her involvement with the Suicide Squad, we know that she has distrust and distaste for these kinds of people. So I don't know. Comic Boom's not the only person I've seen say that either. So what else? Amin says one of the things I hated is that Amin, you're awesome. One of the things I hated is that Dick gives missions to people that will get resolved in their okay, so that's just what I was saying earlier. Yeah. Like AP3 will start with all the missions accomplished, and that's so sad. Yeah. Cosmo says, y'all think Nightwing's gonna lead the JLU after the event? It's a good question. I say no.
That's a good question. I don't think so either. He's got a whole new status quo coming with the new creative team on his book. Tom Taylor's leaving too. No.
And he's still in Titans, leading the
Yeah.
Titans.
Yep.
So I don't think he's going to lead two teams. I truly think they're just trying to establish Nightwing as like an A tier character in universe, not just like in the minds of readers and fans, which is fair. I just feel like they're saying it a lot, but he's got to do something. What else? What else? Comic Boom says, I lost interest in John Kent long ago. Well, DC has helped make that happen. Moonarch says, kind of late, but hey, pals, excited to join you guys live. Been a while. Hey, Moonarch, it's good to see you. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Hulumbo says, why didn't Diana make the speech? I mean, I get why Nightwing character arc and all, but still, and I completely agree with that. Wonder Woman, man, we could do a whole show about DC's failure of Wonder Woman. Truly.
She's a woman of action. There is no deciding on it. There's no discussion. She just does.
My favorite Wonder Woman moment, at least the one that comes to me right now, is from Identity Crisis when she gives the speech after I forget who it is that dies, but she's the one that leads the prayer or whatever, gives the speech. And that's one of the first times that I saw Wonder Woman in a comic book, because I read that, but I didn't read DC. I read the big hits, but I didn't read like, oh, Wonder Woman's comic book.
Was it the Sue Dibney?
Yeah. And I was like, so that's who Wonder Woman is? Wow, okay, cool. She is the heart and soul of this world. She is the one who, when it's time to make a speech, she's the one who makes the speech. That speech wasn't to give strategy. That speech was to rally the troops. And I see her as that. I see her saying that and then passing it to Batman to give the speech of like, go do this and that, the strategy, and then Superman to be the leader in the field.
Yeah, it's the Aragorn at the Black Gate speech. Like, that's who Wonder Woman is.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. Any other good comments? Steve Matthews tells Wes Renango to join the Discord. That is a great recommendation, and I should have said that also. So thank you for saying that for me. I love when you guys handle our loose ends in the chat. Man, we get so many comments, it's hard to keep up with everything. Like, I want to respond to everything, but we'll be here all day. All right. Let's keep the reviews going. Let's keep it flowing.
Go to one of those side quests we talked about.
Yeah. We talked about Batman. Let's get into Batman number 151, Absolute Power tie-in. As we mentioned, this is written still by Chip Zdarsky. This issue sees Mike Hawthorne on art as we give regular series artist. Who's the regular series artist here? I always forget. Jimenez, yeah. George Jimenez. How could I ever forget that? I love George Jimenez. Was to give him a bit of a break. So this issue is all over the place, kind of. It largely follows Batman and Catwoman on a mission to try to, at this exact moment, I don't even remember what the mission was, but they end up getting on they were trying to stop whatever the boom tube energy was or whatever.
They needed to grab the mother box. That
right. They needed to grab the mother box. Yeah. So they went to go and find it, and they encounter Bizarro, and Batman has to stop Bizarro. And then they encounter Deadeye, who is a new character.
Relatively. It's been created. It's Amanda Waller's nephew. One of the new characters that was created in the newest iteration of the Suicide Squad.
Right. And so they end up on another planet. And yeah, that's about it.
I didn't like this. I wasn't a fan. A couple reasons here. It feels like it has to deal with the fallout of Chip Zdarsky's run and tying up Catwoman and Batman's relationship. Because he gets the whole family together at the last, issue or towards the end of Zdarsky's run, or not end of his run. He's continuing it, but the end of the last arc where his whole family's in that new Pennyworth Manor,
right?
Except Catwoman. He hasn't gotten to her yet. I think he tried to, or she ran away. Some kind of bat and cat dynamic. So they have to emotionally tie up that loose end in the whole kerfuffle that is Absolute Power and tie in that. So it has too many jobs for an issue to handle, and I don't think he does either one of them too well. Secondly, I don't think I'm the biggest Hawthorne fan when it comes to the Batman issues. I don't mind Hawthorne as an artist, but when you have Jimenez as the artist, they're so diametrically opposed stylistically that I don't think they mesh well together. So whenever I see Hawthorne, I'm like, all right, this is the break arc. This is like the piss break. I don't want like that sounds wrong, but they're just so different that you could just tell, like, all right, none of the actual story is going to happen here because that's what happened in the previous run. It felt like.
Yeah, I hate to agree. This issue didn't do a ton for me. You know, like I just said for Absolute Power, I want to see these characters going on missions and, accomplishing whatever goals, but this just didn't feel like it mattered. And it felt very ancillary, and the characters, Bizarro's got a robot arm for some reason. Like, does he really need that? Um, they find that Waller's family tomb is here, and I thought that that was sort of an interesting wrinkle, but I I don't know how to really care about that. Like,
And
okay,
and also like it completely puts the brakes on the momentum of Absolute Power too. Like everyone's, it's like near death. Everyone needs to leave, go do their mission, and then somehow Batman just goes, creates a whole new separate identity, gets on a private jet,
mm,
gets all the red tape that is getting access to the government. How? It's like, all right, whoa, hold on. That's not what happened. It should have just been straight, stealth attack.
it's totally unnecessary, and it feels, again, there has to be Batman comics coming out, but we know that Batman is wrapped up in Absolute Power, so instead of ignoring it, let's give him something to do. But it just doesn't feel right. Tyler broke it down excellently. Like, this could never happen in the timeline that they have to do things. There's no time for all these movements. Like, he gets on a private jet and, like, what?
He was just in an exploding fortress of solitude. Like,
When did all this occur?
I don't know. And I read this right after Absolute Power too, so I was like, well, hold on a minute. He doesn't even have a suit on him.
Yeah.
He had time for a shower. Are you telling me?
I, I don't know. I wasn't overjoyed with this. And then frankly, on the art side, I feel like I've enjoyed Hawthorne a lot more. Even in this Even during Zdarsky's run, he's come up a couple of times, and I've enjoyed it fine. But for some reason here, it didn't work. It didn't land for me. I don't really know. Can't put my finger on why. I just really want Jimenez back consistently, and I think that's where the frustration is coming in because he's absent a lot on this run.
And like when he's on it, it's top tier.
Yeah.
It's just I almost wish they would get an artist similar to him for the off issues because it's so drastically noticeable when he's not on it.
It also feels like they're telling us when we need to care and when we don't because he's not here. So clearly this isn't relevant. Um, there was also a backup. Did you read it?
The Harley one by Teeny, I read it because I
Yeah.
figured you wouldn't.
Okay. Well, I did actually.
Okay.
I skimmed it. Teeny Howard wrote it with art by Mariana Ignazi and colors by Giovanna Nero, letters by Clayton Cowles. Um, it was fine. I mean, it was basically just this little story of her, trying to stop the Riddler, but she takes him out because he's frail and she's apparently so strong that she choked him out. And then they have to solve one of his riddles, but it's literally the easiest riddle I've ever seen in my life. And she does it because she doesn't want Poison Ivy to hate her for not stopping, the end of all things.
It's just a fun little romp to explain like what happens in Gotham when Batman's not around, or and it also answers what's Harley doing in all this, which maybe some people have questions about, but not me. It's fine. I didn't love it. Didn't hate it.
As an overall package, there's nothing so egregious here that you have to pass or pull it. I'm sorry. There's nothing so egregious that I have to pass. But if you're not reading Batman, there's certainly no reason to buy this issue. And if you're looking to save $4.99 and you're not a completionist like I am, this is not an issue of Batman that you need to have. There's nothing here that relates terribly to what he's been doing already. And there's nothing here that's like so critical that if you don't read this, Absolute Power won't make all the sense in the world to you. So this is easily skippable, but I will still say pull.
It's a pass for me.
Valid. Valid. Amin asked if I read the backup. I read it because why not? I don't know. I don't know. Genuinely, I just read it just to read it. Um, Lieutenant Dan has no legs. Says, I know this is a tie-in and those issues aren't always great, but I think I'm finally decided that I don't care for Chip's Batman run. I'd like to see a new writer. The art also wasn't enjoyable. And there were a few people who in the comments who also asked us and mentioned Chip still being on the book and how we feel about it, and not liking that fact. Tyler, where are you at on that?
I'm generally closer to the positive side on Chip stuff. When Chip stuff is working, it works real well. When it's not working, it doesn't work at all. So it is a tale of extremes, his run. But the stuff that I really enjoyed, I really enjoyed.
Um, I've liked it a lot. I think that there's more to say. He clearly has more to say. He hasn't done it all with Joker and everything else. But if I'm being totally honest, there's been a lot of conversation in the Discord about, big epic runs and runs that people really love and stuff. And in particular about Batman. The last time I was like head over heels for Batman was Snyder. And I just don't feel like Chip is injecting anything super exciting. I've I've enjoyed the run a lot. So it's like I don't hate it. I'm not mad at it. But am I ready for it to be over? If they would have said new creative team starting in DC All In, I would have said, okay, I'm ready. I am ready.
It even felt like that was going to happen in the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say check out his Daredevil instead.
Yeah. Comic boom. Backups in Batman is problematic as it adds to the price of the comic and does nothing to the main story. Yep. And I think most books that have backups, I feel the exact same way about. I don't want to pay for a backup because they're often bad. The only backup I can ever think of that was really good, the only two, and I'm sure there are more, is the Justice League Dark backup that Rom V did, and the backup that
The
go ahead.
Shazam ones that were in Justice League, right? The Jeff Johns Shazam.
Oh God, that's not even what I was thinking
Oh,
about. I was
okay.
thinking about the backups in the Black Mirror, the
Oh, yeah,
Detective
yeah.
Comics
Well, they had
run.
reasons. They were telling their own story rather than just needing to be there.
And it was, but it also sat neatly, like they met each
Sure.
other at the
Yeah.
end, which was brilliant. Backups can matter, but they need to start making them matter. Beast Lab Rat says Zdarsky sales are falling though. Yeah, of course they are, because a lot of people feel like you do, and it's valid. Like I'm certainly not saying you're wrong. I just, like I said, I'm still enjoying it, but if it were ending, I wouldn't cry about it. What I would cry though, if it were to be ending, would be Birds of Prey. I would cry about that. And I wanted to cry when I saw this cover of Birds of Prey number 12.
A good cry or bad cry?
The best cry.
Okay. I
This
know
is
some people hate
phenomenal.
chibi shit, so.
No, dude, they look so cute. This is great. It's chibi versions of our girls, and they just look phenomenal. Like look at Black Canary. Sick.
I like the way Barda looks in that.
Oh yeah, Bart is
Oh, I
fantastic.
like Barda in ever since the word, so.
Don't we all? Birds of Prey number 12, written by Kelly Thompson with art by Javier Pina, Sophie Campbell, and our boy Gavin Guidry, with colors by Jordi Belair, letters by Clayton Cowles. That's the rundown of the creative team. So as you guys know, the gimmick here is that every time the girls go through a portal, the birds are transported into a newly skinned version of the dimension that they're in, which is the pocket dimension. And the issue starts with is a Jurassic era version. And, they make the decision strategically, tactically this time to move on and to hopefully go to a more light and fun and cartoony version of the pocket dimension, which is exactly what happens, but with unexpected, unintended, and in my opinion, hilarious results. This was pure fun and fantastic, and I thought about Powerpuff Girls throughout this. This was very reminiscent. Like I remember someone had said they wanted to see an adult version of Powerpuff Girls, which is not something that I need to see. But if it was going to happen, it would be like this. This story isn't adult, but like in the sense that like it's got anything that kids couldn't engage with, but it feels, you know, fun and childish. Like I laughed out loud a couple of times, but I had a really good laugh at one particular moment, and I do not have that happen very much when I read comics.
Was it when Barda chucks the rabbit?
No, that was good. I had a little laugh at that. The moment that busted me up, this should have been my pick of the week. I don't know. The moment that busted me up was when they're fighting with the rabbits, and the rabbits are like trying to sneak up on Black Canary and Barda, and they're like hee hee hee, and then Black Canary realizes what they're doing, so she yells and blows up the piano that they're trying to knock them over with, and they're like, "Oh, geez, ruining all our fun." This is the most fun I have had reading a comic. These two panels, the most fun I've had reading a comic in a long time. It reminded me of Looney Tunes and like Space Jam and all that stuff, and it was just so fun.
And Sophie Campbell does a great job with it.
Holy shit!
Like I know Sophie Campbell did. Glory is where I first saw her work. I think Joe Casey? I forget who wrote it. But then Sophie worked on Ninja Turtles a lot as well. This is her leaning heavily into just chibi art, cartoons, and having a lot of fun with it. This is, I gotta say, the story, the plot of what's going on, I'm kind of getting a little tired of. It is a little repetitive. It's like, all right, jump into a portal. We don't know where we are. How do we deal with it? Rinse and repeat for 3 issues. I'm kind of a little over that, if I'm being honest. And this story felt a lot even more exposition heavy than the others. The previous issues have at least had emotional tethers. The Vixen issue, the one with Black Canary doubting herself. This didn't really feel like it had that. This was all the planning on how to defeat the bad guy that's been chasing them for the past 4 issues. So storyline wise, I'm kind of over the gimmick. But then you put Sophie Campbell on, and I'm like, all right, if they have to do the storyline to get these cool artists to do awesome Black Canary stuff, fine. I'm in.
We also got Barbara back into the fold, which I was happy about. She's gotta get going as a part of this team. Um, I just need her more present throughout. But I really liked, Kelly Thompson has she has worked so hard over the last couple of years. I mean, certainly her whole career, but over the last couple of years in particular, I feel to get herself to a place where she is considered an A-list writer. And whether it's deliberate or otherwise, that is what has happened. And I think that a big reason why is her ability to write character moments that matter, that you can feel. And she managed to do that here. There's a moment where Barbara Gordon is speaking with I forget the name, but the daughter of the woman that they're trying to kill, Maya.
Yeah.
She kind of says something to this woman that is, that's abrasive, because Barbara in the future kills her mother. She kills Maya. And so this woman doesn't even like Batgirl because of that. And then so Batgirl says something a little mean to her, and she gets upset about it. And then it's Cassandra, Batgirl, that goes over and they have this wonderful conversation. And she says, "Look, we're in this together. We're going to get out of this. We're going to get through this." And Cass never talks. So for her to do that in that moment, I thought that was beautiful. And I just really loved it. In the midst of all this fun and cuteness, there's that brilliant moment too.
Kelly writes characters like people that I think it's been really hard to feel to read that and it feel genuine for a lot of writers. And she brings a special voice to a lot of this that's just genuine and real. And I think it's just nice to see that comics readers in general are starting to see that now.
Yeah, I agree. And I know you said you're kind of over the gimmick, and I think this needs to resolve, but I think the good thing is that I'm pretty sure that the next issue is the
Yeah,
last one.
yeah. So
So
I guess timing was right.
yeah,
Just as I'm getting tired of it, it's gonna end.
yeah. And then, I cannot allow us to move forward without addressing the zealot and the half gloves still representing, which I love. Our boy Gavin, shout out to him, putting us in, etching us in stone. Like most people who see this comic will not realize why she is wearing those gloves, probably won't even notice the gloves. But I know, and you guys know. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, this was awesome. Easy pull.
Yeah, easy pull for me. This whole run has been a pull for me.
Yeah, 100%.
Did you see the Ryan Gonzalez variant, Sean? As a Marvel Snap fan, I have it on the screen now. It's a great chibi variant that like almost made me think, do I need to go to a comic book shop for this? But I didn't. So
Oh, I see it now. Oh man, yeah, they didn't I didn't see that one at the shop.
I'm
I
not sure
might
what
pick
kind of
that up
variant
next
it is.
week.
So I don't know how to get it. But yeah.
Whoa. I might have to get that. Damn, that's really nice. Let's hit a few more comments. We've got 50 of you with us right now. Thank you so much. Make sure you hit the like button. Be subscribed to the channel if you're not. We're on the road to 300 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, it would mean the world to us if you would join up with the cause. Tyler, can you grab a question right now? My comments box is not loading.
Yeah. Let's just see what we have here. C.W. Gordon said, very excited to get to the next arc. Hopefully, something more grounded. But this arc has easily been fun enough to forgive the deep compression. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Hmm.
And Almond Bread says, does this take place before Absolute Power, right? Thank God not all series are part of the event. Yeah, I figured it takes place before. The Birds of Prey are active in Absolute Power, like in the background and stuff. Like they're all there. So the team still exists, but this is just kind of outside of it.
Yeah. Let's see. Stank Mall. What's up, fellas? Got to catch the replay if you talked Uncanny already. We sure did, bud. You missed it, but replay crew is a real thing, and we want to hear your thoughts too. So when you get through it, let us know what you think. Cosmo had asked, is this issue accessible for someone who hasn't read any of the previous issues, been meaning to catch up but haven't gotten to it yet? So, I never want to dissuade someone from buying a comic book, and I'm generally of the mindset that if you're really interested in something, you should just dive in. But the answer to your question is no, in the sense that if you were to buy this, I think Kelly Thompson does the requisite like catch up through dialogue, but you're not going to understand absolutely all of the dynamics and things that are going on. But I think the issue stands on its own in terms of being very good. So if you like what we've said so far and the little bits of art that we've shared, I would just give it a shot. I don't know. I don't want to dissuade you. And it's only 12 issues deep. So if you really were to buy it and like the issue you pick up, if you bought this one and liked it, you could easily catch up with what's been going on. Wouldn't take you much. B Slab Rat says Thompson's reputation is on the same level as Joshua Williamson and Mark Waid here lately. She needs to stop writing woman-led books and become an across-the-board writer. I agree. Not that she needs to stop writing women-led books altogether, but that she needs to not only write those, because I don't want her to get pigeonholed as she can only write women, because I'm positive that's not true. But to this point, I can't think of a book that she wrote that wasn't women led.
I mean, she wrote the most tolerable Gambit I've ever read, and Mr. and Mrs. X, but that's also co-led by Rogue. So
Right.
she wrote Deadpool for a bit.
Oh, that is true.
That's where Jeff the Land Shark was created for, I believe.
That is true.
Yeah.
And she does write Jeff. So,
Yep.
to be fair. But I still agree with what Beast Lab Rat is saying. I think she should be in the conversation when we're talking about who should take over this or that character. If she fits from a writing standpoint, if it's Batman, if it's Super, it shouldn't matter. She should be in that conversation.
Oh, and C.W. Gordon said Birds of Prey Volume 1 just released this week if you need to catch up. That's a good call out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I completely agree. And there was another question that I really wanted to get to. Um, let's see if I can find it. No, no, I can't find it. Oh yeah, I can. Cosmo also asked, off topic, but I'm late, so I just gotta say, not sure how y'all felt, but I loved Uncanny X-Men so much so that I'm looking for more X-Men trades to read up on now as a newcomer to the X universe. Okay, that's a beautiful thing. If you are trying to get into the X-Men, here are the books that we can recommend. Really quick. I'll go for two. Tyler, if you have two, feel free. Uh Understand that you don't have to read absolutely anything. There is no real required reading because this is the new status quo. So you could just jump in right now as you appear to have done. That being said, if I were recommending X-Men books to anybody, I would say Hoxpox just because of how good it is. You don't even need to go forward with Krakoa. I think you could just read that and you'll be fine. And then I would also read Astonishing X-Men. I would love to recommend New X-Men, but it's massive and it's really long and it's kind of weird. Astonishing is cleaner, and it's shorter, and I think it's pretty solid. So if you were to pick two of those three, you'll be fine.
I'm with you on those two picks. Just in general X Men stuff, not caring about reading the current stuff. Just you want to read X Men. I would throw in there Wolverine and the X Men by Jason Aaron. I think Nick Bradshaw was the artist on that. And I would throw in New Mutants. The original run of New Mutants, I think, is just that is timeless in my opinion, and you could read that at any point in your life, and it still holds up.
Mm. Uncanny X-Force, man. If you got
Oh,
the
dude,
bread for it.
who just got that in the Discord? I saw somebody picked up the omnibus. Right? They just reprinted it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was Joel. It was
yeah.
Joel
Oh,
Anderson.
one
Yeah.
of my top runs of all time.
Hmm.
Made
Hmm.
Deadpool tolerable.
Kelly on everything. I'm with that. I agree, CW Gordon. Um, yeah. All right. So let's Amin said I just unsubscribed. Generational hater. What happened? What did we do? Well, you don't like Ryan Johnson art? Is that what it is? Or what do you not like?
I think he just wanted to hate. Generational haters just will find a reason to hate no matter what.
That's true. That is true. Okay. Let's get into the last book of the day, the one I don't physically have. That, of course, being the Power Fantasy #1. This is by Kieran Gillen with art by Casper Wingard, Clayton Cowles on the letters, Ryan Hughes on the colors. This is, I really, really wanted to get this in physical. I had read an AMA that both Casper and Kieran did, and it made me intrigued, but I wasn't able to get it. So hopefully I will down the road. This book is what if there were only six X-Men? Like, what if there were only six people that had powers in the world? How would that change the world? How would that impact the world? What would they do? What would the world's response be? Et cetera, et cetera. And it is very, very, very interesting. I think that Kieran Gillen is clearly wearing his X experience on his sleeve here. I got Professor X vibes. I got Magneto vibes. You could definitely feel some of those characters shining through particular people in this book. As an issue one, going back to what I said earlier about the contract, I think this fulfills the contract very well. It tells you exactly what kind of book this is going to be, whether you like that or not. And it gives you a general idea of what you can expect, whether you like that or not. I happen to like it a lot.
This was my pick of the week. Kieran Gillen as a writer can be one of my favorite writers. I've never really jived with his big two work. I think Young Avengers was the best thing he's done in the big two. But his independent work at Image is like phenomenal. Um, um, what's the Gods one? I just had it in my head.
Wicked and Divine.
Wicked and Divine. Yeah, great. This was giving me Wicked and Divine vibes. And I think if you enjoyed that, you might be in for a good ride here. This is Wicked and the Divine with Gillen having had the experience writing X-Men and kind of almost merging the two in a certain way. Because these guys aren't gods like Wicked and Divine, but they are godlike beings in a world that doesn't have the same powers they do.
Mhm.
Um, I think the first half of this book literally is a philosophical debate. It's very wordy. It's very Kieran Gillen. And if you'd like that, this is for you. But if you don't like that, the second half of the book is for you. Because the second half is a lot more plot heavy. Sure, it's dealing with big ideas on what things are ethical in a world where you have powers and other people don't. But this is showing the actual effects of that instead of the discussion of it. I thought this was real fun. And then you throw Casper Wingard's art on there, which I don't know if there's anyone
Whoa.
really on the stands like him. Like combine that with the Ryan Hughes colors, right? Ryan Hughes did the colors on this, or no? Actually, I think Casper does all of his own art.
Yeah. I believe so.
Yeah. So Casper's stuff is just it's a lot of pastels, and there's some specific uses of pastels to show off power sets in this that it's like really good. All of his characters do not have the nice house syndrome where like everyone looks a certain way and they're distinct, especially the people with powers in this book. And man, this if I was wearing socks, they would have been off because they would have blown my socks off. This book, I thought this was a really, really, really fun issue one, and I'm excited to be like, oh man, is Galen back again? Like I loved Die. It's this Die level for 2024. I'm excited. It's cool to see an Image book like this again, that kind of captures that feeling that I like.
I like that they're specifically not superheroes. I really appreciated that. I don't need more Gillen superhero stuff. They have powers, but that doesn't he does a very smart thing, I think, by throughout the series, throughout the issue rather, he goes out of his way to like describe what a superpower means, like what that word means, and kind of like separating out what that means in the real world, like our world, and then taking that same explanation and describe and using it to describe these individual people who are superpowers unto themselves, but they're not heroes. They have their own desires, their own motivations, their own place in the world. And, we see the world react to that, and it's not pretty. And I really appreciated that. It makes me wish, like, remember Immortal X-Men 3, Sins of Sinister, and how on the hook we were for those conversations and those moments and those debates? This feels like that.
And this is probably what that could have been if it wasn't shackled by it being a major comic book publisher that has so much continuity and editorial. Like Gillen can write these stories, and I think there was allusions to it here and there. Think of like Hope with what's Purple Guy? What's his name? That we'll never see again.
I don't remember.
Hope's like he was on the Quiet Council.
Exodus?
Exodus, yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but like that whole dynamic with him and Hope, like gods and worshiping and all that. So a lot of that, like a little bit of those things were there, but because the power fantasy gets to be its own thing, and it's not tied into any of that. It doesn't have to deal with the baggage of that or deal with having to put the pieces together when it's done. That Gillen's ideas have room to actually flourish here. That it's only issue one, so I can't say for sure, but at least feels like it's going in the right direction.
Yeah. It feels very distinct. It's again, it's very interesting. And I think you'll know whether you need to read this or not from the first issue. I always, especially with an issue one from a non-big two publisher where you don't know the characters, you have no preconceived notions, give it a shot. I it's easy for me to recommend this because this is in my wheelhouse. Gillen is very wordy a lot of the times, but I like the way his mind works when he's on track. I felt like with X-Men, it got off track and there was just too much at play. But here, where he controls exactly what he controls all the levers, I think he's doing his thing.
CW Gordon brings up Eternals. I forgot about that. It feels more akin to his Eternal stuff.
That was good too.
Yeah, I really liked his Eternal stuff. But because like Eternals only had to deal with Eternals really until it didn't. But
And it was still good.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think this is one of those Let Him Cook books that I'm excited. Also, $3.99. When are you gonna get a book this good for $3.99 in 2024? You're paying $2 extra to get a page you can't read physically at the big two.
Well, hey, Birds of Prey is $3.99. So,
Oh well, good for them.
um, yeah, this was really strong. This was really, really strong. Catherine says, I'm interested. I'll have to look for it. Sean, do you think this is a book I'd be down for? I trust you. So it's very wordy. Like I said, it's very philosophical. There are some big, heady ideas at play. What are the responsibilities of an all-powerful person in the world? If you have absolute power, does that mean you have absolute responsibility or absolute control? I think those are very interesting ideas to play with. And Gurin is the kind of writer who can see that through very effectively. The thing that I can say for sure that I know you will like is the art, because Wingard's art is like mine. It's like arresting, like you want to see it, like it's almost spellbindy
It,
in a way.
it's calm. Like the colors he chooses is very calming.
Yeah,
It don't, the only way I can think about it is like it looks like the nice nurse's scrubs that you had as a, as a kid. Like they're just like really calming colors, but what's happening on the page is brutal. And then he chooses to use like heavy reds during those brutal things. It like makes it just jump out of the page when like the shit goes down.
yeah, yeah. This was awesome. Um, yeah. I say give it a shot, Catherine. Give it a shot. I mean, it's outside of I think it's outside of your traditional wheelhouse probably, but that's okay.
For Catherine, I feel like Wicked and Divine is also probably down her alley.
Yeah.
So if that
More
is,
so.
then I can see the trajectory of this also being down her alley.
I just feel like that one's a little more. This is only one issue deep.
Sure.
I just feel like Wicked and Divine is a little bit more bombastic.
Like pop stars and idols and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Um, yeah, I would go for it. I would definitely go for it. All right. So those are the books, but we are not done by a long shot. First of all, I want to get through some of your comments. We're gonna talk a little bit. We've got a few minutes. We can chat a little bit about Cape Crusader. I don't know if Tyler, did you get to watch it?
I tried when I was on vacation, but the rest of the group was not really into it. So
All right. So no episodes?
I watched the first one. Yeah,
All right. So we can like I
I
won't
can
spoil
speak on
anything. We can
vibe and
just
stuff. Yeah,
yeah, just a little conversation about it. But I do want to hit these comments because I appreciate that you guys leave them for us. Let's see. Amin says just a bit of banter. Love you guys. I mean, you better not leave us again. I can't have it. I cannot accept it. You can't leave us again.
Sean was crying in our private chat. Missed you.
Yeah, man. Beast Lab Rat says I heard about this book and it reminds me too much of Immortal X-Men, so I passed. Okay. Well, if did you like the first half of Immortal? Because I feel like the first half of Immortal was pretty good. Now, if you don't agree with that, then that's a completely different story. But I think if you like the first half, this is a pretty reasonable follow-up, quality wise. Uh, D13CJ says, "Hope I'm not too late." Hello, everyone. What's up? You're never too late. As long as we're live, you're not too late. What else? Better than Dawn Runner? Yes, to me. I enjoyed this much more than Dawn Runner #1. And I think Dawn Runner is awesome too. But
Dawn Runner, I think feels good because you can tell that's going to be a mini, or at least not as long. Like with this, Gillen is cooking something long with this. I feel, and he's talked about this kind of being an ongoing going forward as well. So
yeah,
almost different beast in a way.
true. All right, let's talk about Cape Crusader a little bit. So this is the latest Batman animated series. It's got heavy hitters involved. I mean, Matt Reeves is a part of this. I think J.J. Abrams is a part of this. I believe that Ed Brubaker is a part of this.
Baker, yep. Bruce Timm.
Bruce Timm is involved heavily. Greg Capullo wrote. Not Capullo. Oh my God. Greg. Wonder Woman.
Berlanti.
No, Wonder
No.
Woman.
Greg.
Black Magic. Come on.
I know it. Oh, Rucka.
Greg Rucka.
There we
Thank
go.
you. Yes.
I had to go
I
into
love
like
Greg Rucka.
the Gotham Central team.
Yeah. So a lot of major names involved with this. This has been years in the making. It was supposed to initially be, I believe, on Max and then transition to Amazon, where it ended up finally being released. So I had the opportunity to watch the first 8 episodes. I didn't get through the entire thing. Unfortunately, Tyler got to see one. So, and I'm sure all of you are at varying places with your watching of it. So we'll keep this pretty spoiler free. Um, Tyler, do you want to say what you thought of the first one?
Yeah, the vibe was really good. It felt like the in a way like the animated series, Batman the animated series, but without having to be on a kids channel.
Hmm.
It kind of leaned more into like it being a bit of a period piece, you know. It can lean more on the heavier tones and stuff like that. And I know it's a little weird not having Kevin Conroy,
Yeah,
um, but I think Hamish Linklater does a pretty damn good job, honestly. I do want to watch the rest of this. This is on my list. I've had a busy week after being away for work for a week.
sure.
But I liked the first episode. I almost said issue, but yeah, I enjoyed the first episode. I'm excited enough to watch the rest of this, and honestly, the general buzz around it has been pretty damn good. So like, I'm not worried about it being bad either. Like, I'm excited for the rest of it.
I really didn't like it. I hate to say it. I was really excited with the pedigree of the creators involved. I thought that, this is like a slam dunk home run for me, but it really wasn't. I feel like it's sort of random. It's not really about Batman. It's really about the other characters in Gotham. And I was really hoping, because of the creatives involved, that we would get something that dives deeply, even if it's not that deep into Batman, at least the other characters. But I don't feel like it's deep with anybody. Um, and so that was kind of frustrating to me. It looks pretty good. Like, I like the way it looks. I had no problem with the time period. I don't feel like Batman the animated series isn't set in the past, but it doesn't feel like it's set in the present. It's just set where it's at.
It's like a Willy Wonka. It just is
Yeah.
of a time. Yeah,
And this feels like that, which I had no issue with. Um, but I really didn't care much for the villains that were chosen and the turns on them. I think a lot of them, they're clearly deliberately reimaginings of these characters, but I didn't like any of the reimaginings, unfortunately.
I
Um,
know the Harley one is one people talk about. I haven't gotten to that yet, so
yeah, I won't speak too much on that other than to say that I did not appreciate what they did with her. I did until about episode 4 or 5. I was actually intrigued by what was happening until about 4 or 5. Um, I just this just isn't for me. I know a lot of people like it, but
not according to our YouTube comments.
oh, okay.
Uncanny Suit said it just feels a little dry for my liking. Is that a
Yeah.
good way to describe it for you? Dry.
I think it's very dry. It doesn't have any of the characters that I really want to see. It's missing a lot of people, and it's a show of only 10 episodes, and I haven't seen a couple, so maybe there are people that I'm not aware of, but like, you saw the first one, so we can talk about just the very first villain we
Mm-hmm.
get,
Yeah.
right? Penguin.
Penguin. Yeah.
Uh if I'm sorry if this is a spoiler for anybody. If you don't want to hear this, then move forward, but it's the first episode. It's just that they have made Penguin a woman in this one, and that on its face is fine. I don't care about that. I just care that it's like, okay, you did that, but then you didn't do anything with that. Like, you just did it to do it.
It's literally just female penguin.
It's a gender swap for
Yeah.
for the sake of a gender swap, and I don't think that the Batman universe needs that, because there are plenty of Batman villains or characters who are women. I'm no spoilers, but there are a lot of women in this show, which is
Sure.
great.
Yeah.
I don't think you had to do that.
And even then, like, maybe talk about a woman being in the underworld because most of them are
Right.
men. Which no, it just is. Which I guess is fine when I say it that way. But like, yeah, it was just like, all right, it was good, but it didn't seem like it had a purpose to it.
Yeah, exactly. If there would have been a reason, all right, I'm not going to complain about it, but it just felt like they did it to do it.
Yeah, because I mean, like the underworld is run by a patriarchal hierarchy in Batman, like the Maronis and the what's the other one, the big one? I forget.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's all men, you know. So even addressing that a little bit would have been refreshing, I think.
Totally agree. Have you met Gordon?
I think so. I think briefly.
Yeah. Well, I had similar feelings with that. There are just a lot of changes that they don't justify.
With that, I just felt like it's Matt Reeves, and that was felt like Jeffrey Wright. You know,
Yeah, that's just it's not the only change, but I guess more so it's like the same way you just said, like what would it be like if the penguin were a woman? Like what would the meaningful changes be? I think it's an interesting question to ask with Gordon as well. And it doesn't. But to be fair, the movie doesn't either. So all in all, I would say that I've been underwhelmed, and it doesn't have like you know how when X-Men 97 came out, it was just like, holy fuck, this is
the
crazy.
good old days. Yeah.
Right. Um, it doesn't have any of that sauce. It doesn't have any of that heat. It doesn't have, it's not exciting. I watched it very passively. You know, it doesn't, the best way I can describe it for me is it feels like if somebody wanted to make the animated series, but do it completely differently in terms of the characters that they chose and keeping the same vibe but having different characters and not really caring about what's going to bring people to the table.
It's Batman the Animated Series Black Label.
Maybe.
No Wang. Oh, at least I haven't seen any in the first episode. There's no
No
Bat Wang, right?
spoilers.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe I'll keep
No
watching then.
spoilers. Yeah. Monarch says, personally, not my favorite Batman animated show. Way too many characteristic changes for my liking. Yeah, and it's not even just like the race or gender swaps, which again are valid if they're used. But like character personality traits and dynamics change on the show for no apparent reason. Just change to change stuff. And okay.
Can I give a potential hot take here? If we're talking about Batman animation,
Sure.
I think Brave and the Bold's my favorite Batman cartoon.
Never watched it.
Oh, dude, it's bonkers, bonkers stuff.
Yeah, maybe I'll I don't know. I
I'm
probably
not
won't
sure
watch
it's your
that.
thing.
Ultimate Power 01 says, given it's a clean slate universe, just do it to do it isn't much of a criticism. IMO, she exists as a woman. That's it. All right, well, that's what you say. I say differently. Isn't that the beauty of the internet? It didn't work for me.
But yeah, and I get that, you know, like because it's like, all right, well, if why does woman have to justify her existence as a character? Which I agree
No,
with.
no, no. That's not what we're saying. Because
I'm not
if
saying that we're saying that. That's the thing.
but if he's saying we're saying that, he's wrong. Because the idea is, you know, say there was never a penguin before. Say that character never existed before. And the penguin is introduced in this show as a woman for the first time, never seen her before. It would still feel hollow because they don't address the idea that a woman could be in that position. And we know that in the real world, the mob and all gangs are generally controlled by men. So, what type of woman are we dealing with who can have that kind of power? If you don't want those kinds of questions answered in your shows, then that's you. But I would like some depth. That's all.
And also, there's a time period too,
Yeah,
an added layer that you can talk about.
exactly. There's a lot of things that could be done there, and they don't. They're not interested, and so I'm not interested. But what we are all hopefully interested in are my stack. So every week I buy a bunch of comics, and I have very little self control. So unfortunately, I buy more than I probably should. And this week is DC's return week. So last week I bought, I don't even remember how many. Now we've got DC in the pile as well. So I would love for you guys, if you want to play along, to share with me in the chat your guess as to how many books I bought for the week, and whoever is closest without going over wins either a no prize or any of the Marvel books that I bought this week. You can get the code from me. You just have to join the Discord and ask me for it, and I'll give it to you. No problem.
I'm looking at the books that came out this week, and one of them was wild that I totally forgot was a book. A Vicious Circle 3 came out this week.
Ah,
I didn't know that was still happening.
I think it's the last issue.
Oh, okay, good for them.
Yeah. Uncanny Suits says Batman the Brave and the Bold nails the Silver Age vibe. So freaking funny. I initially didn't like it as a kid because it was so different from the animated series, but it won me over pretty quickly. I had a problem as a kid. Like when one of the shows that I really loved ended, I had a really hard time with the next iteration. So I didn't watch Batman after the original series ended. I continued with Spider-Man after the original Amazing ended, and then they went on with that weird storyline where he went to space. Remember? Do you remember that, Tyler?
My knowledge on Spider-Man animated cartoons is very very thin.
Dude, he went to Other Earth, and the villain was the High Evolutionary.
Oh yeah, that's Other Earth. Yeah, that's not a
Yep.
Spider-Man villain. Why the hell was he there?
I think he went. He gets on. It's weird. Venom is like on a space rocket with Carnage, and Spider-Man goes and he's fighting with them, and then the rocket goes to Other Earth. It's weird. It's a weird show.
Okay, we got a lot of response to this stuff. So let me
Woof.
go through these real quick. I'm going to say before I read these out loud, I want to say mine's 13. I'm going to go with 13 before I read what other people say. All right, so we got Rami Darwish with a 16. Uncanny says the stack is stacked. Inktology 16. Aaron Ruiz 17. Big week. Ombre says a conservative 18. Tectronic 18. Marowak Obscuro 14. Moonarch 19. Cosmo 28. Catherine
Whoa.
22. Stankmaw 35. Jesus.
What?
No, I mean, you might be new to this, but Philosopher King 15. Uncanny 15. CW Gordon 17. Ultimate Power 19. James Jones, very good at this, 16. Comic Boom 21. And Franelations with a 17.
I love that Lieutenant Dan has no legs. Didn't even throw a number out there. He just said too many.
That's fair.
Hell yeah. Amin says I love Spider-Man Unlimited and the Counter Earth, Sean. Yeah, I had a blast with that show. I know, but no one likes it. I guess we're the only two fans. Um, but what are you gonna do? All right. So we know we've got the six for the show. We know that.
Yep.
So we're
Well,
starting from there.
well, no, because you didn't get
Ah,
Power
yes,
Fantasy.
that's
Yeah.
right. So five, because I was unable to get Power
Yeah.
Fantasies. So that's a good call out. Ultimate Black Panther number 7.
I gotta say, I hate the white border on those books.
Mm, yeah, the gimmick is whatever at this point.
Yeah.
Issue though, hot fire.
Yeah, somebody in the comments said earlier that it's a good issue.
Yep, real good. Scarlet number 3. You know I had to get this. Also very good.
Good. It's my to-do list.
Unfortunately, we had to bump it this week. Just too many big books for the show,
Heck.
but that was a winner. Gotham City Sirens number
Mm,
1.
I'm excited to read this. Did you get to it?
Yes, I did actually. I wanted to take a chance because I love the characters. Leah Williams, she's awesome. So I took a chance on it. Matteo Lally on art,
Okay.
if you remember him.
Yeah.
Uh,
Deadpool, right?
sorry,
Did some Deadpool art, I think.
I don't know. I remember him
Wolverine?
from Krakoa. He was on
Yeah. Okay.
Marauders,
Mm,
but I enjoyed this quite a bit.
cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed this quite a bit.
It's
And
kind of outside
then
of all of the stuff currently going on, right? It's just those
yeah,
three
it's
doing
its,
the thing.
its
Yeah.
own thing. Punchline was in it too.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. I really enjoyed that. Ain't No Grave number 4.
Oh, okay.
I am not fully caught up. I read the first 2 issues though, but it's pretty good. I really love the George Corona art in this.
Yeah.
Like I haven't read this issue yet, but I will open it so I can show you guys a little bit of what's doing. Look at this.
Yeah.
Great stuff. I think it looks better than Transformers, to be honest with you. I think it's more his style. Uh Free Agents number 2.
Oh,
I
okay. I
really
was going to
enjoyed.
ask if you picked it up. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the first one, so I decided to buy this. Kaya number 20. I say this every time, but I'm gonna say it again. If you are not buying, if you are not buying indie books because you don't like them, you don't trust them, or whatever, or if you're not buying this, buy Kaya. This is maybe the best indie book.
That is like tailor made too for like a streamer animated show.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
like an
totally.
Arcane or something like that.
Yeah, it's Kaya's fantastic.
Yeah.
Public Domain came back this week.
Dude,
I'm a couple of issues behind on this, but I am excited to catch up.
like I said, big DC week. Only like one extra DC book so far.
It's a big DC week, but not big for me,
Sure,
maybe.
sure.
But we're also not done. We've got some books to go. Red Before Black, #1.
What the fuck is this? A new
I
one?
don't know.
Oh, Stephanie Phillips.
Stephanie, that's what
That's
I
the.
did. That's what I did. I saw Stephanie Phillips.
And
I
it,
said, okay. I see Stephanie Phillips' name on it. I buy. And you know what they did, Tyler? There was a variant cover for this that actually had the character from Something Is Killing the Children in it.
uh,
And I was like, oh shit, is this a spinoff?
that's
And then I
smart.
opened it up, which I never do in the shop. I hate opening comics in the shop. But I did it to see if it was a spinoff, and apparently it's not.
No, I think Boom's been doing some like those variant covers that have Something Is Killing Children on it. I think they did one for Grimm as well.
It caught my eye.
Goran Suzuka, I saw on the art, right?
Yes.
That's the guy who
Yep.
did like Fury, Get Fury, some of the stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. Which was also fairly good.
yeah.
Spider-Man Reign #2.
Mm.
I did not get to this. I'm excited to get to it. The Incredible Hulk #15.
Ooh.
I've fallen behind with this. I'm about 3 issues behind with this. So I got to catch up.
Oh, you're in for a good arc then. Yeah,
Yeah. They haven't missed yet. So
true.
the
Isn't it weird
Deviant.
how? Oh, you're
Oh,
still reading that. I was gonna say, isn't it
yeah.
weird how Hulk has been a consistently good book for a good amount of years now, when it used to just be like a side thing.
Well, I don't know if you count that Donny Cates thing.
Oh yeah, that did happen, didn't it?
Hmm
Okay.
The Deviant #6. I'm behind on this, but it's very good anyway. It's very good. Batman
Oh, the
Hush,
new
the
batch just
compact
dropped, right?
edition. Yes,
Yeah.
the new batch dropped. My shop had a few, but this was the one I wanted. They only had a couple of copies left of Hush,
Got it.
but I had to get it because it's Hush.
That's a good one for compact. What else came out? Wonder Woman Earth 1, and was it
Yeah.
Darwin Cook's Catwoman?
Uh, the
That-
only ones I saw were this, Wonder Woman, and there was one more, but it wasn't that. It was something else.
The Darwin Cook Catwoman one is one I really, really want.
Mm. Uh, Funny story about this. The shop owner, so you guys know, I never want to talk to anyone at Midtown. I just kind of want to get in and go. But the shop guy that rang me up was like, "Oh, you're lucky you're a good guy because I was about to tell you, hey, you don't need this. I was about to try to dissuade you from buying this so that I could get a copy." He was just playing with me. It
Oh,
was just,
okay.
it was just banter, and we went back and forth. And I was like, "Dude, you wouldn't have been able to sway me on this. I've been reading this for 20 years." So we had a nice little rapport and we shook hands on it, and I got his name, but I don't remember it right now. So if you're
You tell
listening,
me to do a
hey,
podcast?
huh?
You tell me to do a podcast?
Nah, I try not to be that guy
Yeah, I don't tell
as
anyone.
much as I can. Huh?
I don't tell anyone until they know. They're like, hey, what are you doing Thursday? Well, about that.
Dude, I did it one time. I did it one time last year before New York Comic Con because it's a long story,
Wait,
whatever.
the aunt's coworker?
No,
Oh,
no.
okay, that's
This
a
was
good
a
story.
Midtown Comics worker.
Mm.
And I told him, and he was like, "Oh, that's awesome. I've been looking for a podcast. I'm gonna give it a shot, whatever." I think we were talking about Jeff Johns, and I was flexing.
Sure.
And I would go on to see him again in the shop like many times, but he never talked to me again. And I was like, fuck, maybe he didn't like it.
Man. Oh. You assumed he watched it and wasn't into it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was assuming it's like when people think the stripper actually likes them, or it's just like, no, he just works there. He's just trying to be nice to you.
That's
It's
funny.
his job.
Well, I don't want it. I don't need it. You came up to me.
It's true. Yeah.
I'm not looking for interaction. Not with them. I am looking for interaction with you guys. Let's see. We need to figure out who won the
Can you count those? Because the counting is
Yeah.
not my job, and I forgot to do it.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 plus 5 is 17 this week.
Ooh, big week.
17.
Are you counting Hush?
Yeah.
17. Okay.
Yep. So did anybody get there?
Let's go. I feel like there might have been Franelations with the 17, and C.W.
Woo!
Gordon with the 17. So, there's a couple 17s actually. So Aaron Ruiz was the first 17, then it was C.W. Gordon, and then Franelations.
All right. Well, let's see. I've got what Marvel do I have? If you guys want, you don't have to partake, but if you want, I've got Hulk, Spider-Man Reign 2. I've got what else did we review Marvel on the show? Yeah. Ultimate Black Panther I have
But
Uncanny
Kel,
X-Men.
yeah, because Kel didn't take them because
Yeah.
he wasn't on the show today. Yeah.
And I have Avengers. So these 5 books are all available if you want the digital code. These 5. So you want to message me on Discord, I will get those codes to you guys. I'm always trying to give them
Yeah.
away. Just another way we're trying to give you guys some kickback. Speaking of which, this Saturday is the next time we're going to be live with you.
Sorry, I was laughing at Lieutenant Dan has no legs. Like I said, too many. I guess he was right too.
Yeah, right? Technically. Technically. Stank Moss says I was so close. Um Amin says count again, need to pump those numbers up. Dude, I always get them wrong, but I'm sure I counted right this time around. I have to be. I was gonna go into the close, but I want to read some comments. Uh, High praise for Kaya. It's that good. It truly is. Beast Lab Rat says, "Do you feel being a comic fan has a high expiration date, similar to people that like music? Their era is always better." That's a big question. That I definitely feel like we could answer more nuanced at another time. But generally speaking, I think people are often, at the very least, viewing what they enjoy through the prism of their childhood, and often will struggle to make deep connections with things in the future if they don't grow. And I know for sure that, for example, Birds of Prey is not a book that I would have read 10 years ago. And so now it's one of my favorite books. I think if all the stuff you love to death you encountered when you were a teenager or younger, you gotta update. You gotta get some new stuff under the hood.
Learn some new tricks. You might like. What's the
Yeah.
worst that can happen? You like something new,
Or you don't.
and it's fine if you don't.
Exactly. Who cares? What's it's taking 2 hours of your time, or a few minutes of your day to read a new comic. Surely you'll waste that time in some other way, right? Amin Perez says, "Am I the only one who liked the Starship Hulk era? The ending felt rushed, but Donnie was cooking something. For me, he was cooking some spam or something. Like I just wasn't really
Whoa!
with
Don't
it.
hate on spam. Spam musabi is real good.
I wouldn't know." Um, CW Gordon says, "I'll take the no prize, Icky Digital." Fair enough, brother. Franelation says, "Sean, I think I have Discord DMs off. Can I reach out on Twitter?" Certainly you can. Please do. All right. The next time we're going to be live with you is this Saturday, because we are going to be speaking with Omar from Near Mint Condition. That is at a special start time of 1:30 p.m. 1:30 p.m. If you come at 10:15, there will not be the Comics Pals live. Actually, Omar will be live. Near Mint will be live. And then after his live, he's going to come hang out with us.
I mean, if you want to go to his live too, and hype up the show beforehand, I'm not gonna stop you in the comments, but just saying.
That would be cool. Yeah, that would be very cool. Aaron Ruiz says, "Oh, you didn't grab Venom War, Sean? I really like the issue for the event." You know what, dude? That's the one I regret not getting this week, because I actually dropped. So I dropped Space Ghost, not because I wasn't liking it, but because I got my fill. I get it. I've read the first 3. I enjoyed them. They're good. I don't need more. Like it's good, but I'm good. I'm good. But Venom War, I passed on because I'm like, well, I'm not caught up. I don't need this. Let me do the right thing. And I regret it because it's Al Ewing. That was dumb.
I did download that, so I was curious. I haven't been reading the book, but it felt like a jumping on point for me, and it had Al Ewing's name on it. So
Oh my God. I did get it wrong again, guys. I
what,
did.
the numbers?
Because I also bought a Vicious Circle number 3.
Oh, you did buy it.
I did buy it. It's over there.
Who had
Oh
18? Who
my
had 18?
God.
Nobody gets these now. Did you give any away? Amin Perez got it with the conservative 18. Tektronic
That's
got it.
so funny.
You need to start putting your books all in the Zoom file.
I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I feel like I swerve you guys every week with this
I
shit.
think
Was it just Amin
And Tectronic, it looks like
and
it. Yeah.
Tectronic? Okay,
Yeah.
so you guys message me if you want to. For Annihilations, I'll still give you something no matter what. We'll take care of you all for sure. I'm so sorry. Oh my
At least you got a
God.
laugh out of
Woo.
the chat there.
Yeah, well, if you guys can laugh at my silliness, then feel free.
Guys, we read, we don't count. All right.
Oh man, Tectronic wants the Avengers code. Hit me up, dude. Hit me up. Friends, still hit me up, please. You're not out of this. All right, guys, we gotta go. Thank you so much for hanging out. Really appreciate it. We will see you on Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Until then, take care of